Today is Wednesday, September 21st, 2022. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is currently down to, as you can see, $30,183. Now, obviously, the Dow Jones is an index just like the S&P 500 and just like other indexes out there. So the Dow Jones alone does not represent the entire health of the entire market by any means, because it's only really a collection of a certain number of companies. I believe it's 30, which those companies are considered by some to be a decent snapshot of what's going on in the consumer markets and different portions of the economy, including energy and production and technology. A very short while ago, Jerome Powell, chairman of the Fed, announced that there was going to be a 75 basis point rate hike. In plain English, since these people want to be able to hide the truth, interest rates had basically just gone up by 0.75%. Now, when you take a look at your local bank, like let's say you're looking for a house, this affects you directly in that what it means is that money that you borrow has just gotten slightly more expensive to borrow it. I could use my mortgage calculator really quickly to show you what that means in terms of getting yourself a mortgage, but the bottom line is, considering the fact that houses have been driven rapidly sky high by the artificial inflation in this economy, not to mention the inflation coming from overseas back to this country by foreigners who've collected US dollars and now they want to invest them in something, so they've decided to invest in our real estate market. But what it also means is that if you're looking for a mortgage, or even if you're looking for a simple credit card, or if you're looking for a car loan, the interest rates going up means that it's going to cost you more money to borrow that money. That's in simple, plain, easy terms. If you go to Mercedes-Benz right now, no matter what car you're looking at, they're telling you that the Mercedes lease rate is right now about between 5.9 and 6.5%. Now, even if you have excellent credit, you're still looking at an interest rate above 5%. Now, if you rewind to the beginning of this year, roughly January, before Russia invaded Ukraine, before the Federal Reserve decided to raise interest rates, if you were to just rewind just a little bit, you would see that you could get a 3% fixed interest rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage, a 3% fixed, not adjustable, 3% fixed. And if you paid down points, you might be able to get slightly below 3%. Not now. Right now, the lowest interest rate you're going to be able to get is a 6.5. So that basically means you're going to pay 6.5% on whatever your loan amount is over the next 30 years. Now, I know there's people on the internet, there's these manosphere guys who like to talk big smoke. Oh, yeah, well, you don't have to get a mortgage. You can just pay it in cash. Well, listen to me. Be honest. Raise your hands if you've got $600,000 in cash laying around. Now, I know some of these manosphere guys and some of these people on the internet, they live in states where the average cost of a house is lower than $400,000. Or possibly it's between $400,000 and $500,000. But the point is that over the last 3 years, the cost of houses has gone up significantly. In some cases, more than 40%. In some cases, more than 50%, depending upon where you live. Now, here in New York City, I've done my best to show you, open houses of the shittiest properties that I could show you, specifically to press my point that even for an absolute piece of shit, you're still expected to say that I'm going to pay $600,000 for an absolute piece of garbage. So I've tried to make that a point. Now, in other states, you don't live as tightly packed or as cramped as we do here in New York. So in your state, $600,000 might buy a mansion, but not here. $600,000 in New York City right now buys a crack house. That's what, I want you to put the image of a crack house in your mind. Yes, here in New York City, especially the closer you get to Manhattan, that crack house will run you between $600,000 and possibly $1 million. And I know you'd say, but that's insane. That doesn't make sense. I can prove it to you. I've got Zillow. I can prove it to you. It's just that simple. I can prove it to you. A crack house costs you $500,000 to $1 million. A crack house. Okay, I'm not going to trip on that. I just wanted to say in context that yes, Jerome Powell raised the interest rates. The Dow closed 500 points lower after the Fed delivered that aggressive rate hike. So I don't really need to read all this because this is common news at this point. But they're basically saying that as the Fed has raised interest rates, it has negatively affected the market. Now, there's many reasons why that can happen. First of all, when people see interest rates go up, some of them take money out of the stock market because they intend to use that money. For example, myself, when I saw that the Fed raising interest rates was negatively affecting oil, I decided to cash out oil stock out of my TD Ameritrade account. And the reason why I did that is because I am going to buy in cash my new electric car, my Cadillac Lyric all-wheel drive. I believe it's going to be delivered in January. I'm getting myself financially ready for it. I just want to be able to write them a check and say, hey, here's the cash. Give me my car. No down payment, no loan. I just want the cash for the car. That's it. Now, according to what my dealer says, I'm going to get the car at MSRP and there won't be any markups, and I'm holding them to that. And I'm going to make sure they understand that I'm holding them to that. If they start any shit whatsoever, I'm going to let them know that, number one, I'm a YouTuber and I'm going to do my best to embarrass them on the internet. And number two, I'm going to also let them know that I'm going to take my money over to Mercedes-Benz and I'm probably going to end up buying a Mercedes EQB since the EQS is a waste of money for me. But the bottom line is I've cashed out oil stock so I can buy an electric car. Simple fact. Now, I've had a couple of people asking me, did I think that this was a good time to buy into energy like oil? I personally, now, by the way, you can do whatever you want with your money, but I personally believe, no, this is not a good time to be buying. In fact, this is a good time to be selling energy. This is a good time to be selling oil. If you want to buy something, you could buy lithium mining or you could buy lithium energy companies or battery manufacturers that are manufacturing batteries for EVs in the future. Those stocks are still relatively low. Over the next 10 years, nobody knows what's going to happen. But my belief is that the only sectors that you're going to see rapid major growth in, or at least very good dividend paying growth, defense contractors, specifically Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Boeing, among others. Defense contractors, definitely, because Russia just announced today that they are going to end special operations in Ukraine and they're going to escalate to all-out war. Now, they didn't say that, but I watched Putin give a speech, and Putin says, yo, listen, we'll use whatever weapons we got to use. So he's like, oh, yeah, well, we got nukes and we're ready to use them. And he's basically saying, don't think that you can threaten us with nuclear attacks and that the wind can't come back in your face. So the bottom line is Putin ain't playing no fucking games. Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and a couple of other defense contractors, their stocks should be on their way up. In fact, I'll look at those later. But the bottom line is defense, energy is going to be iffy because the thing about it is the energy sector is multi-pronged at this point since electric vehicles are the new craze. People in general, and I know a lot of you are trolling the internet. It's like, well, your electric vehicles don't work in California. The grid went down. Uh-oh, there's a blackout over there. Uh-oh, there's a brownout over here. They just had a brownout. Now my air conditioner don't work. Bottom line is, electric vehicles at this point are more than about green energy. No. People are buying these things because they're luxury items. They're luxury items. First of all, in order to have an electric vehicle properly, you basically have to have a house. What better way is there to start a conversation about how rich I am than to show you that I've got this beautiful Tesla with this shitty interior, but you know, the average woman's going to show you, oh yes, well, I just got my Model Y and I got the white interior. Here's the issue, though. The interior sucks. But the bottom line is she's got a Tesla Model Y. Some other guys got the Tesla Model 3. Some people got the Model S. Some people got it used if they could find one, because these cars are worth more used than they are new, which is so crazy. And there's a simple reason for that. It's because the wait list for some of these cars, especially Teslas, is extremely long. Let me explain something to you. My Cadillac Lyriq all-wheel drive is $70,000. I have $70,000 cash. I have a little bit more than that for the tax, but that car is $70,000. Before you can even drive one of those cars off the lot, there are people willing to offer you money to buy that car from you. Understand that. People who are going and getting their Teslas, the deliveries on their Teslas, these people are getting asked, hey, listen, how much do you want for that car? And the reason why is because people want these cars because they're luxury items and they're desperate to get them. Now, never mind the fact that there's a lot of cars the same size as a Tesla Model Y that come fully loaded for half the cost of a Tesla Model Y. It's not about saving money. It's not about saving energy or gas. It's about luxury. Now, even though I think Teslas have shitty interiors, the simple fact is these cars can drive themselves. Now, according to what's happening in the news, they drive themselves into fucking people, or they run into other objects if you're not careful. And the whole belief that you can just go to sleep and let the car drive itself is completely false. But the reality is people don't care. They want these electric cars. So when I say that investing in lithium mining and lithium batteries and investing in these energy companies is a good idea, if the stocks are low enough and you look at a company, you look at its portfolio, you see it has relatively low debt and it's got a good mission as far as building batteries for future EVs, that might be worth looking into if you have the money for it. You do your own research. But the reality is the lithium battery is going to eventually be replaced. There's going to be newer batteries, solid state batteries, whatever it is, to replace these batteries. And if you get into these companies while they're on the ground floor, you go up, up, up with them. And that's it. That's how the market works. Now, technology was severely down. Now, I have my own index fund, which is Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA, Google, Amazon, Tesla. So as you know, these are the big name companies. I call it Mangoat. Now, the O as in oil, I have, as I told you, I sold a lot of my oil stock in order to make sure that I had enough money to buy that car. But the reality is oil is currently being suppressed by the government. It's important for you to understand gas prices are not low. Well, I think you already understand that because gas prices are they are absolutely $2 higher now than they were this time last year. And I just want to turn the clock back. Right now, it's September 21st. This time last year, not only were gas prices lower, but on top of that, we didn't have all of the rampant inflation that came about after February. Not only that, we didn't have, obviously, the Russia-Ukraine battles. Not only that, airfare was cheaper, cars were cheaper. If you could get the one you wanted, it was cheaper. But the issue is the government is still dipping into the strategic petroleum reserves. And on top of that, they're suppressing gas prices by basically having the states suspend their gas tax. New York City suspended its gas tax. And by December, we're going to have a $600 million hole in our budget. Just think about that. So it's obvious what's happening. November elections are coming right around the corner. They are less than 2 months away. The Democrats are terrified. Right now, they've got people blaming other people about not voting for this one and not voting for that one. They're calling you a race traitor. Oh, because you don't support her. They're calling you a sexist because you don't support this one. They're calling you this. They're calling you that. Then, elsewhere, you've got migrants being bussed up to the vice president's house and dropped off. And you've got them talking about the migrants want to sue Ron DeSantis. Now, I don't understand how an illegal immigrant has legal rights to sue a sitting governor who's a citizen of America. But they're just going to have to figure that one out without me because, I've basically given up having faith in this country and its bullshit laws. So I'm sorry, that's just where I am. I'll never understand how anybody, and I don't even care where you're from, but how does an illegal immigrant who came here illegally have rights to sue a sitting governor who is also a U.S. citizen? I don't know. But in any event, technology is down. I'm not worried about the down days. I'm not worried about it. I am up enough where I'm not worried about the down days. What I do think is that 4 or 5 years from now, once Biden's out of office and once the Democrats are done for, I do think that the Republicans will turn this around because of the business attitude that they have, the taxation policies that they have. The Democrats are not going to like it, and they're going to do everything in their power to blame the Republicans for poor people being poor, despite the fact they've just run up record deficits. They've run up record amounts of debt. They've run up all of this stimulus debt, and it's just amazing. It's insane. It's insane. And then they'll point the finger at Trump and they'll be, well, you were the one who passed the initial act in order to start COVID spending. And it'll just be like tennis. They'll go back and forth blaming each other. Democrats and Republicans blaming each other. Two wings on the same bird. The Republicans will drive the getaway car while the Democrats are robbing the bank. And then the Democrats will drive the getaway car while the Republicans are robbing the bank. I've given up. All I got to do is survive 10 more years and I get to fucking retire. Other than that, I've basically given up because I already see that this is going absolutely to hell. And it's obvious at this point. That's why you're looking at so much red. So, at any event, do I believe that getting into the energy sector is a good idea right now? I think the best time you could have gotten in was, just as I said, when oil went negative back in March 2020. If you got in then, you really made your money. Now, other sectors such as air travel. Boeing is down to $143, so Boeing is hitting its lows. Delta Airlines is on its way to its lows. JetBlue is $7.64. $7.64. And I had mentioned buying airlines a long time ago, but I did it back when we had the crash in 2020. And had you bought the airlines, you would have seen gradual appreciation through 2021. But right now, because of the interest rates being raised, these things are all back down. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, JetBlue is down further than it was before. But one thing you got to remember is the government's not going to allow the airlines to fail because, again, that's part of our national defense plan. So airlines will always get bailed out one way or another. And the worst that could happen is an airline is forced to be consumed by another airline by the government. That's what they did with the banks, for example. Sometimes they had, in the bailout era, they would have one bank that was big and strong buy and consume a smaller bank. So my point is there's a lot of sales. And as you can see here, you got a lot of sales in the energy market, TTI, CPE, LPI, a lot of sales. The banking system is on sale right now. The banking system. JP Morgan over this year is down from 173 to 112. Could it go lower? Yeah, it's possible it could go lower. But one thing you got to remember about the banks is they pay dividends. JP Morgan has a 3.5% dividend. So for every $100 and whatever dollars you spend when you get it, if you can get it, you still get a dividend for that. Citibank has a 4.32% dividend. These are very good dividends. Now, if you're looking for dividends, I recommend the banks rather than energy because energy typically, even if it does pay a dividend, the dividend's low. SM Oil, for example, is planning to raise their dividend to like 0.6% or something, like 60 cents. Or possibly either it was 60 cents or 6 cents per share. Bottom line is, oil doesn't pay heavy dividends. The banks do. Like ISBC, for example, 4.61%. The banks pay better dividends on their stock than you're going to get in the savings accounts. Bank of America pays 2.58%. And then you've got Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo pays 2.76%. Capital One pays 2.37%. So thus far, the largest are J.P. Morgan and Citigroup as far as giving you a nice dividend, and smaller banks like Investors Bancorp. In fact, that ticker, if I'm not mistaken, that ticker should have been replaced because they changed themselves. Yeah. That ticker no longer applies. So I'm going to get rid of that one. They changed their name. I believe it's called Citigroup Financial, but I'm going to add it later. I got to just double check the symbol. So, gas and oil. As you can see, gas and oil are way up from when I told you to buy in when they were negative. However, because of the Federal Reserve, they're down. They're just down. All energy, for the most part, is down. Now, I'm looking right here at Camber Energy right here. Camber Energy. Let's see about Camber Energy. And I had them a while ago, but they don't pay a dividend. What's their performance been like? 2 years? Oh, they were, okay, $3. Well, these other numbers don't make sense. 11 million? Okay, so something has definitely happened. But if you look at them over the year, they are down recently. They're up and down. But they're definitely down over the week. I have to look at them a little bit closer. So, in general, energy's down. The Federal Reserve is doing its best to tamp down energy. They want to tap it down. They want to keep it down because, again, elections are coming up. And it kind of makes me wonder if the Federal Reserve has the power to ignore the president. For example, Trump wanted the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates, and they wouldn't do it. And Biden's administration, along with Elizabeth Warren, they want the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates. See, the problem with this country is that it's built on deferred payments. It's built on credit cards. It's not built on production anymore. It's built on credit cards. This current economy is built on credit card, deferred payment, and debt, and interest rate on the debt. So, Elizabeth Warren and Joe Biden, they see that the economy's going into this shit, and they're convinced that it's because the interest rates have been risen. So they're telling the Fed, oh, you got to do something about that. You can't do that. You're hurting young black single mothers. You're hurting all of these women who are just trying to make ends meet. If I really wanted to, I could deliver one of those horrible Hillary Clinton speeches. You know how Hillary sounds? How can we allow the Federal Reserve to raise the interest rates? It's hurting young women. These young black single mothers, they're paying their bills, but how are they supposed to pay their bills? How are they supposed to pay their bills when their super predator husbands have left them? It's disgusting. And this, the sad thing about it is this is actually the shit that they say. Because I've posted enough of these articles for you to understand that I pay attention to this shit and I take special offense. How are the young black single mothers supposed to pay their child support payments if the checks don't come on time from their super predator husbands? How are they supposed to pay their student loans? Listening to her is like listening to the Wicked Witch of the East casting spells. I swear, that's how it sounds to me. It just sounds horrible. And the issue is they say this shit. I was reading a story earlier. Women make only 85 cents on the dollar to every dollar a man makes. Ugh. Well, considering how often women are taking off from work, maternity leave, I have a migraine headache, my stomach hurts, I have cramps, and just take off the day. There's a reason why you make less. It's because you're taking so much time off. So if you want to throw it in my face, oh yeah, but I've had problems. I have to take off. Well, that's not my problem. It's like I punch my card the exact same time you punch yours. And that's how it's supposed to be. So I don't know what to tell you. But the bottom line is, this is what they say. This November election is going to be a referendum on the Biden administration, and it's going to be a referendum, oddly enough, on Clarence Thomas, who they have put it in everybody's mind that Clarence Thomas is the reason why Roe versus Wade is overturned. Now, mind you, Clarence Thomas ain't the only justice up there. There were other justices sitting right next to him, and as far as I know, up until the very last judge they appointed, he was the only black one up there. So therefore, you've got Whoopi Goldberg, and you got The View attacking him. Bottom line is, this election is going to be a referendum on the Joe Biden administration and Clarence Thomas. Now, I have to applaud Clarence Thomas for restoring the Second Amendment rights. And I have to say, it wasn't just Clarence Thomas, but it was the Supreme Court as a whole. The Second Amendment rights of New Yorkers. Because the thing about it is, you've got a lot of these animals out there running around with illegal weapons, and we need to be able to defend ourselves. Home invasions are up. Let me tell you something. You see this right here? Well, I know you can't see. You see this right here? See this right here? I think you can hear it. See this right here? This sits right next to me waiting for a home invasion. This thing is literally waiting for a home invasion. It's just waiting. It's just waiting. But home invasions are up. Home invasions are up. You hear this? Hold on. You hear this? Home invasions are up. This thing's sitting right here just waiting for a home invasion. It's just waiting. Just in case. It just sits there. It just sits there, just waits. It's like a snake. You know how a snake goes into a hole and he just sits there and waits to see if a mouse runs by? This bad boy right here is waiting. Just waiting for a home invasion. It's just waiting. Home invasion. Yeah, hey, over here, home invasion. Nah, it's just waiting. But I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't think it's going to happen. But you know what they say? Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. But bottom line is, violence is up. Home invasions are up. Robberies of cars, what is it called? Carjackings are up. They're carjacking people and not even checking in the back seat for the baby. You know what a damn shame is? The carjackers are doing a better job checking the back seat than some of these young mothers who are literally leaving their kids on the top of the car or leaving their kids in the car and either driving off or leaving the car in park. At least I have to give these car robbers the credit. At least they bothered to check the back seat when they steal a car. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. This is what happens when you allow the inmates to run the asylum. Anyway, I've diverted a little bit too much. Hold on. Okay. Everything's down. This is nothing but blood. You're just seeing blood everywhere. Everything's down. But in being down, everything's also on sale. Everything is on sale. Now, there's certain things that I'd stay away from. No. Okay. So anyway, as I was saying, there's certain things I stay away from. I ain't buying no Reddit short squeezes. There were people who were in my DMs. Oh, yeah, AMC's going to the moon. We're going to Jupiter. Yeah, but that was at $10, and that was at like $11. AMC's down to $8.60. Airbnb has never been profitable, and it probably never will be, because Airbnb, for the most part, is operating at a loss. GameStop, oh man, whatever happened to all those people invested in that GameStop? You remember how everybody was challenging me on my knowledge because I was saying, no, GameStop's a fucking pump and dump and you're a fool to put your money in it? You remember when those people were challenging me? You remember that? Don't ever challenge somebody who works in stocks. Don't ever challenge somebody who works in finance. Don't ever challenge somebody who actually understands the government. Please don't do it. You probably haven't even had civics, and you challenge me? Really? So here's a question, Game Stoppers. Where's your Lamborghini at? Where's your house? Oh, I'm sorry. You're down a lot from where you got in for that short squeeze, aren't you? Now, I know there'll be somebody who'll be like, oh, yeah, well, I bought GameStop 20 years ago when it was 5 cents or some shit. Listen, I don't give a shit. Whatever. You're up, but you're also down, too, because chances are they suckered you in and rug pulled you by getting you to try to invest more money. And then when they pulled out their money and they rug pulled you, now you're down in the dumps. Airbnb, shutting stores, oh, no, not Airbnb. I'm sorry. Bed, Bath, and Beyond. I don't know what. I always confuse those two tickers. Shutting down stores. Every time you go into a Bed, Bath, and Beyond, they ain't got shit in there. I swear. I went to Bed, Bath, and Beyond. I was looking for something real simple. I was looking for one of the cup holders for iPhones so that you could have the phone being held up for you while you're driving and you don't have to reach down and touch it. One of those cup holders that holds a phone, right? They didn't even have that shit. So the guy did look through the computer and he's like, oh, well, if you go over here to this other Bed Bath & Beyond, you'll be able to get it. And I was like, oh, yeah, thank you very much. So then I went and ordered the shit off of eBay because I was like, I don't feel like driving around wasting fucking gas searching for this shit. You go to Bed Bath & Beyond, they have stuff overpriced. They've got stuff that you might be interested in. It kind of looks cool, but then you've seen that same thing at Walmart. Or you've seen that same thing at Costco, or you've seen that same thing at, what is it called, BJ's. So for the most part, it's like, it's Bed Bath & Beyond might as well just go. If Bed Bath, see, the sad thing is, I hate to be so, dismissive of the fact that a lot of people who work at these things need those jobs. But the bottom line is, it's horrible business practice. And if you have a shitty business practice, yeah, sooner or later you're going to go out of business and you've got nobody to blame but yourself. And that's just what it is. That you just, who you going to blame? You can't blame nobody. So yeah, Bed Bath & Beyond, they're pretty much dead. Everybody else, BlackBerry, these idiots who really wanted to invest in BlackBerry. But then again, I already know it was pump and dump. It was a short squeeze. So I'm, whatever. There were people who really believed that Virgin Atlantic was sending people into space and that this was going to be a regular thing. What are they to say now? That's my question. What are they to say now? Okay, there's a couple of other possibilities here, but for the most part right now, you're probably better, unless you know that there's stocks that you wanted to get into that you couldn't afford before. For the most part, you might as well hold on to your money. For the most part, you might as well hold on to your money and weather the storm. Now, if you see some sales in companies that you absolutely want, yeah, there's no reason you can't get into them. What I usually do is I take my dividends for the year and I reinvest them in new stocks that pay dividends. So this way I continue to grow my portfolio year over year. And even if you grow it incrementally, it doesn't really matter because the fact is it's still growing. Now, you want to get higher growth, yes, but you also don't want to risk too much of your personal assets, especially assets. Like, I'll say it like this. Once you have yourself a property, you have yourself a house, or you have a condo or something that pays you equity, and you are able to balance living expenses with your car, with whatever other payments you have, whatever liabilities you have. Once you're able to balance those things and you see that you have money left over, that's the money that you can invest in the stock market. It's not a good idea to be investing money that you haven't appropriated. So everybody has their own strategy. It's just that I make sure all my bills are paid before stock market gets more money. Because as you see, especially by this situation that we've been facing for the last couple of months where the Fed is raising rates, it doesn't take but too much to turn the market negative. When I invested into property, those investments are going to last with me until I die. I'm not selling. I'm going to keep them just the way they are. I'm going to rent them. I'll have a company rent them in the future. Maybe I'll go overseas. Maybe I'll live in Thailand. Maybe I'll live in Philippines. I saw a beautiful Vietnamese girl on Austin Holloman's show yesterday. Beautiful Vietnamese girl. And she looked exactly like a Vietnamese girl that I dated. And she was like such a nice girl. She was so nice. Unfortunately, she and her family moved. They moved out to the West. And because of my age, I wasn't working to the point where I had enough money to take care of family or anything. If it was up to me, I wouldn't have let her go. But the thing about it is, hey, listen, it's never too late. We're men. We're men. It's never too late for us. You grab your passport, you fly over there to Vietnam. I don't know why old men, especially I've noticed this with old Southern black men, they always say Vietnamese. It's not Vietnamese, it's Vietnamese. It's like, how the fuck do you put the M like that? Vietnamese. Yeah, you got a Vietnamese girlfriend. I'm like, why are you saying Vietnamese? It's not Vietnamese, it's Vietnamese. Like, it just drives me crazy when people... It's just like these idiots who say aluminium. Where the fuck did you get those extra letters from? It's not aluminium, it's aluminum, motherfucker. It drives me crazy. I swear to God, it's like I get pissed off at the littlest things. But that's just where we are. So, my personal index, had its ass kicked today. I'm not afraid to admit it because I'm still up. And no matter what, I'm still getting my dividends. But I think I want to round out this video by talking about the elephant in the room, cryptocurrency. Now, Robinhood is still in its lows, less than $10 a share. Coinbase had its ass kicked. I think the last time I looked at Coinbase was like it was $75 or something. But when you look at Bitcoin had rallied to like 20,000, dropped down to 19, came back up to 20. Let me tell you something. What bothers me about crypto, first of all of it at this point, I'm just going to talk about it like it's all the same. I know there's some people who want you to differentiate it, but no, there's no point. Cryptocurrency, they lied to you. They told you that it was an inflation hedge. They told, if the rest of the market goes down, your crypto will still be there. No, it won't. Now, the government is interested in some of these stable coins. I will say that the stable coins, the government has expressed interest in. The problem is stable coins and systems like Celsius have basically proven to be fucking schemes, and Celsius basically fell apart. Mashinsky, I'm still waiting for them to slap cuffs on that bastard and throw him headfirst into a cell. But that may never happen. Like, I may never get the Bernie Sanders treatment for him. But what I can say, all of these cryptos behave like tech stocks because they are. And it took the news to actually say that for people to actually say it aloud and start repeating it. Because up until then, everybody kept on with the same old parrot bullshit. Oh, yeah, it's a hedge against inflation. Oh, yeah, it's a great store of value. Yeah, well, if these things were such a great store of value, what happened to the other 65% of your money? Because over the last year, and if you go back even 2 years, you've lost more than 60% of your value. Now, what I also could mention is that, as I've been saying, the market conditions required for Bitcoin to go to the moon no longer exist. Interest rates are no longer zero. Interest rates are now higher, a lot higher. Borrowing money costs you significantly. On top of that, there are no more welfare stimulus checks going out. Now, that may not be a complete truth because some people are still getting some forms of welfare, but all those bullshit stimulus checks that they put out that caused all this inflation, those are done. You ain't getting no more of those. Then, on top of that, you have high energy market, high fuel market. It's not enough to heat your car and not enough to put a gas in your car. So you got to put gas in your house because your house needs either natural gas or it needs oil. All of that's up. Food, the gas and fuel for your body is way up. Eggs are motherfucking 3 something right now. A gallon of milk is 4.25. It depends where you are and how much stuff is near you, but it's crazy. Then on top of that, have you noticed bags of chips, Lay's, Fritos, Doritos? Have you noticed that all of those things, those bags of chips, are $6 now? They've all gone up. Have you noticed that meat prices have gone up significantly? Those are the costs of inflation. And that is what you're going to pay. And it's funny because when you hear the Democrats talk about it while they're trying to get the blame off of themselves, first thing they want to do is blame corporations for gouging. That's the first thing they want to do. Guess what, guys? It's not them gouging. It's your shitty policies, not just your energy policies, but your national security and defense and national strategy policies that are failing. All of them are failing. And we are trapped in the middle. And that's just where it is. So the whole point, again, of me making this video is just to do a very quick recap. I think I've done this usually when the Fed raises interest rates. Now that they've gone up 0.75, there's a possibility the Fed might not raise them anymore. But there's also the possibility they absolutely raise them more. I don't believe interest rates are going to hit 10%. I don't believe it. But it's always a possibility that if things get desperate enough and the economy goes south far enough, yes, it's very possible the Fed could raise interest rates to 10%. I don't want to see that happen, but it's very possible that it could happen. So, we are facing a November election, and things... Well, first of all, you don't even know what news channel to watch because you got some of them who just flat out lie to you, and then you've got rumors, conjectures, and bullshit on the other. We'll have to just wait and watch and see what happens. But the bottom line is raising these interest rates absolutely does put more pressure on the buyer. And while some of these people want to point to corporations and call them gougers and say they don't pay taxes, the reality is corporations don't pay taxes. Consumers do. Shareholders do. Workers at the corporation do. And that's just where we are. So basically, that's all I really wanted to say. And that's basically the end of this video. Because at this point, all you can do is just buckle in and hang on for the ride. Because the Federal Reserve has showed you that they are willing to raise these interest rates regardless how it affects us at this time. Their master plan sees them slowing down demand by making money more expensive to borrow. But again, I still ask the question, if you've got a Federal Reserve that can raise lower interest rates with impunity, and they can hurt or harm a president by hurting or harming the economic situations underlying his presidency, the question you have to ask yourself sooner or later is who is in charge here?